Yo, what's up, folks? It's Damnation-n-Hellfire here, and tonight we got with us, as always, Ross Crow.
Good evening, everyone.
We got RB.
Howdy, all.
We got Toxic.
G'day everyone, how are we?
And we got Shane.
Hello, peoples.
So, what's going on out there in Battle Pirates lands, guys?
Whole lot of comms going on.
I mean, I tell you, I got flattened by some fucking underworld noob last night. It was crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us what happened, quick.
Well, I'll tell you what's going to happen is I'm about to scrap my base. No, it was a good hit, though. It was fun. So here's a fun place to start. So did everybody on here watch the Battle Pirates Talk Live or whatever they're calling it that they put out Friday?
Indeed.
Yep,
Seen
sure did.
some of it.
So was it my imagination, or did they not really say anything on there? They talked for like an hour, but I don't think they really said anything.
Yeah.
Well, at the start they said that we'll talk about this, and fleet versus fleet and sniping, but we'll talk about that later, and then it never got mentioned again. And that was a very interesting point, I thought, but they didn't mention it, so.
Yeah, I think everybody was kind of looking for this week on their little show that they were going to actually start laying down some of how they were going to fix PvP, and that didn't happen. They basically just kind of said all the same stuff they had said the previous week, is what it seemed like to me. Or once there was somebody that asked for a transcript of the show, and I was like, talking point, subliminal message to buy Red Bull, talking point.
And I don't mind that, but I was kind of in limbo, waiting from the last one, because that's how I kind of viewed the last one as that, and that was okay last week, with that type of address and just to let us know, they're going to check into things, but I really was kind of expecting more of at least one hard line point, maybe one point instead of I don't know. I mean, I think it was, I'm not sure what it was, to tell you. I sat there and watched, and I wasn't confused about what they were talking about, but they were not talking about anything in particular happening. So it was avoiding that, but it didn't seem intentional. It just didn't seem like they had very many answers to give.
Yeah, and that's kind of was the impression I get, that it seems like at this point in time, they're still not sure how they're actually going to fix PvP.
Right. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist on everyone's trying to get out to get you and all that. Well, we of course know it's a money-making game, so we know that part's always in it, right? But I really think we're at the point where we're kind of, we still just don't know. And maybe just that's the way of saying we don't know yet what we're doing to fix it.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of get the feeling, and I could be wrong, but I kind of get the feeling that at this point they're not sure how to fix PvP, so they're going to throw all this stuff at us, watch and see how people use it, and then base their fixes around that. Is kind of the impression I'm getting. You guys can comment whether you think that is a good assessment, or you think I'm way off and something else is going on.
Well, there were two things that I was going to say to that, is that, and it's not in their defense, but they did say that they would, flesh it out a little bit more in a post on Monday. So I get that. That's okay. So, but yet again, we're waiting to find out what that post is going to be. So it seems to me that it was a bit more like a meeting between the two of them to talk about things that they kind of already knew, but not to give us any real answers. And I was watching it, and like Ross, you know, I was following along with what they were saying, and that's fine. But I didn't get any specifics. And the second part of that was that huge shout out to Misty Wood for actually doing the transcript of what they said. And when I went back to read it, you can see that they really did say very, very little indeed. So it was great that she put the time and effort into going back through all of that, because when you read it, it's like, well, you didn't say too much at all. So I guess waiting to see what that post is on Monday, we might know more, we might not. I don't know.
I didn't get to see the transcript. That's hilarious.
Yeah, it's really good.
That's awesome.
I did notice though how they did comment about you know, there's some people who aren't happy with the colors for World Chat, so looking into giving more options for that, which I thought was really good, because I know we mentioned something about that on the show on Thursday, so perhaps they were listening.
Yeah, and I think that's a good thing. In particular, I actually have a couple colorblind players, and the green is affecting, the blue and the green are problematic, and I don't know. They're actually not able to view totally all of it. So
I'm not colorblind. I'm old and I have bad eyes, and I know that blue can be hard for me to read sometimes.
right, I don't know. I mean, I'm glad I'm not. So I don't try to argue their vision issues. I have my own. Let me tell you, I'm already a couple inches from the screen at times.
I mean, not that it's a I'm gonna say it's not a big issue for me. I can see the colors, I can see it all right. But to make it so that everyone is happy, they would have to make it custom. Yeah,
customized.
Customized. That's it. Customized.
Yeah,
couldn't remember the eyes at the back. Yeah.
And that's something I brought up to him. Because I play several online Facebook games. A lot of them have the option where you can set up your chat and you can put it in the colored font that you want. Just, you have the option that pulls up the color wheel, and then you can just, pick what pops best for you and makes it easiest for you to see. And I would really love to see him implement something like that.
Right.
Yeah, I think when you're looking at blue on a blue sea, it is going to make it hard. I mean, I don't have any troubles with it personally, but I can see why people would. It's there's so much other stuff on the map, and there's a lot going on because it's scrolling so fast and all that sort of thing. So I can see why people would have problems with it.
Yeah, I mean, and quite honestly, I can actually read it. It's just, it would be nice if I had the option to make it pop a little bit more. That way I wouldn't have to every now and then squint and be like, what's that say?
So do you think it's a brightness thing, or is it just that you want it customizable?
For me, it's probably, when it comes down to it, it's probably more of a brightness thing, but I would still like to be able to see it customized, because for, like if I could make it red, that would probably definitely stand out there.
Yeah.
For you, but may not for me, you know what I mean?
Well, right, and that's why I say customizable.
Yeah.
And that's the way I think it should be, because if you ask the community, half the community has a problem with one color, the other color, it's just all over the place. It's not one person, or the whole game is not going, oh my God, the green sucks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and that's kind of how the whole game is. So I would like to see it customizable. When it first came out, I got to tell you, I closed the game down. I was so upset. I'm not someone that likes change. I mean, I got to tell you, I'm a simple old man that doesn't like change. And I tell you, when it came across my screen, and it kind of just irritated that, geez, what's going on? It's just going to be unbelievably horrible. And I'm having a little issues with it. I think I'm doing way better than a lot of people. Because I'm to the point where I'm having some kicks now with it. I'm having great enjoyment with watching people talk in the wrong areas. That's really fun. And then, but the world chat, well, yeah, I'm calling it the world chat because that's what it is, not globe, but it's world. and it's pretty enjoyable. It's not just a troll fest in the alpha world. It possibly could turn into that. It depends on who's where. I know that. That's just how it is. But I'm seeing a lot of people getting help in our alliance to alliance, player to player on these campaigns, on questions, even on, and I'm seeing bases get picked off left and right. I love that. You know, people post their chords and who knows where it's coming from now. I kind of get a kick out of that. And so I'm having a lot of fun. I really like it.
Vlad's in chat complaining that we're talking about the chat, so friend the game. All I had to say, dude, is it's not my fault you're not here to go on one of your rants. So you just have to do the time we want to talk about.
No, I mean, people, everybody's got their part in the game, you know, and so some people are really going to hate the whole thing. And that's how it is. But I'm glad it seems to be, other than jumping at times, I'm noticing when I go in and out of a base, base hitting it tight, it will jump from wherever I am to maybe all. I'm not sure. It could possibly go to automatically sector. It seems like there's a default that it jumps to sometimes, and it does that quite often to people. And maybe I'd have that taken a look at. But other than that, maybe the colors, I love the feature. It's turning those dead sectors into an active world.
I totally agree with that. It's nice to see some communication and some bantering going on if you're happen to be in one of those dead sectors.
Yeah.
It's like that way you don't just have to sit there and stare at a non-moving chat screen anymore. You can actually read world chat.
Well, right. And you could say to this person that you've never talked to, you're never going to know who he is, that you catch him, you just view him, his fleet going, hitting something, doing really well. I can message, right? I can talk to that player right there. I can, he can tell me his build right there if he chooses and so forth. And I don't have to friend him on Facebook. I don't have to, it's opening up a lot of possibilities for me. I enjoy it a great deal.
Yeah. And like I said, and I can't speak to other worlds, but I know in Alpha World at the moment that it's been not the troll fest that I thought it was going to be. So I've been very happy about that. I'm not saying it never happens, but I'm just saying by and large, it's mostly just people talking, and that was kind of refreshing to see.
Right. And there's some chest thumping. It's battle pirates. And that's kind of fun as long as it's not to the troll point, And I've been getting a kick out of it, There's some nice. What I have noticed is I'm someone, I get caught up in the game and I get caught up in my own play, and I don't view. I get used to the same group or same players hitting me and me also in return hitting. It's just kind of how it's turned out to be, and I'm able to. People are posting chords and their hits, and I'm watching other players, and there are some amazingly, really, honestly good hitters in some alliances that I'm not familiar with, and I'm having some enjoyment viewing that. Also, I did that. I sat and didn't even play and viewed for an hour, and I can't recall having a fun time doing that.
And like Vlad is saying, they could just remove the dead sectors. Well, here's the one problem with that, because like I know George and I have talked about this before, and here's one of the big problems with that is like I don't know how often you're in a busy sector, Vlad, but like when you get a busy sector, it's very hard to find map targets sometimes because everybody's competing for the same stuff, especially during like raids and base parts and titanium targets and stuff like that. And if you cut down on the amount of sectors, the availability of targets is going to be even worse than what it is now. So that's one big problem with taking out dead sectors, in my opinion. Another problem that I foresee is I don't know that I necessarily have faith in them to move people's bases from, like, say they get rid of the 400s. I don't have faith in them to move my base from the 400s to a lower world and not totally fuck it up.
No, right. And if 2% of the bases get lost forever, then that's not okay with me. I don't trust that either. And we know that would happen. It just wouldn't be okay. I don't know. I do use dead sectors myself. I get sniped all the time. I use dead sectors to do all my chores. You'll very seldom see me doing the weekly, doing any type of chores in any sector near where I'm at. It's just how I do it things. It's just so, but I've seen those dead sectors where people don't talk for days, and so this is opening that up at least.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
Let's talk about the upcoming raid. Do you guys think you're ready for it? What are you going to be using? What are your thoughts on it?
Oh, I gotta tell you, I wish I'm loaded to the rim on my Manticore tokens. I have a scatter Manticore fleet fully built. It's been fully built for a couple raids, but I think it's got the latest and greatest. I sure hope it does. I did save all the tokens up on the Manticore in case, and I'm just waiting to refit once it starts, if needed, because I don't have the missile. I'm just going to try to auto it from the phone. I'm going to go fishing.
Let me jump right to the person who I'm most interested in hearing on this from, because he was out of the game for about 7 months. He just recently got coerced by some jackass to come back and start playing. And I'm kind of interested to hear like where he's at in his preparations for the raid and how optimistic he is looking going into it. That's your cue, Shane.
Yeah, I'm not sure how it's going to go yet, but I have been able to get 3 Manticores, scatter ones built to use during this upcoming raid. The only thing one of them's going to be missing like half its rank, and it's kind of my fault for not looking, but they only hold 5 of those VXP 9500 tokens, and they gave you 10. So I lost like half of them on that first TLC for the Manticores. And in the end, on these 3 ships, I'm going to be missing that second half of the VXP of the last ship, kind of because of that oversight.
Oh, wait.
It'd been nice if they would have gave me enough slots that they were offering in the TLC that they were putting out to hold it all.
So you're saying I did that last encounter, that co-op for you. It's only for you only get half your shit.
Well, in that one TLC, yeah, they offered you 10 of those VXP tokens in all through all 3 campaigns or all 3 of the run-throughs, but you could only hold 5 of them.
Right.
And we all seen the ones for the build tokens, but I don't think one that was noticed was the VXP tokens.
Yeah.
And that oversight, like I said, is costing me half of the rank on my 3rd ship.
Right.
If I'd have noticed that, I'd have been able to build 3 ships with 2 armors on each one of them as well, and get the rank.
Right. And while that definitely sucks, though, it does sound like you're coming out a little bit further ahead than what we thought you were going to be, because we think you were only going to have 2 totally.
Yeah, it was the second TLC that, was able to complete the 3rd one and apply 2 armors each to each one of those ships.
Nice.
So that's where I'm at heading in. And the TLCs were good.
I know. I know. Vinny in chat was asking if we had put the new RA ablative on our hulls as opposed to just the regular RA. RA ablative. Listen to me. Reinforced RA, the one that gives you the 81.7% and the 100 of each deflection. I know I did. I wasn't able to put it on all my ships because I didn't get enough to put it across all of them, but I did replace it with as many as I could.
Yeah, I have also.
Okay, mine's got the researchable on it. I didn't. I guess
well,
I don't
yeah,
have
but
that
you
piece yet.
didn't have the option to put the new one on because you didn't have it. So
yeah.
And I didn't have crap on. I don't have more than like a couple on each. I don't have very many either.
Well, that's pretty awesome if you have a couple on each because it's a special. So I'm not sure how you managed.
No, I don't. I'm sorry. I think I got it on half the fleet, possibly.
Yeah. I knew what you meant. I was just giving you a hard time.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, for the ones that I've been able to, I have, because, you know, since they snuck in that R15 retrofit on us.
Right. It was crap until they went magic. And
yeah, and had I known it was going to go magic, I would have paid more attention to it the last when we were able to get it.
I don't even think it would have gone to magic mode unless it was noticed by the community and mentioned in a chat in a show. Yeah.
I agree with you, Ross.
So I know I myself, you know, I have my same fleet that I used last time, the 4 scatters plus the flag, and I'm gonna run it. And I have a couple tokens saved up to, like, if I need to make adjustments on the fly, something I see that'll make work better. You know, because I mean, we can hope that we're going to have very similar targets to what we had last month, but you never know with kicks. And some it might be, oh well, this counter worked on this missile last month, but this one doesn't work on it this month, so now you got to switch over to this one. So I'm always trying to be prepared for those little curveballs they like to throw us.
Yes, me too.
But I know for myself, I'm going to have a little bit more time to do the raid this time, so I'm thinking it should be a little bit better than what my last couple have been. And I plan on, I know I'm going to plan on lending Shane a hand to help him try to get caught up from the time he was gone. Toxic, where are you at? What are you thinking?
Well, I've got I've built one extra one, so I've got 3 scatterguns and 3 missile. And no, hang on, what am I talking about?
You're talking about your Mana Core fleet and how prepared you are for the raid and what you think is going to happen.
Oh no, I haven't done anything to the Mana Core. I was talking. Sorry, I was in the Greta mode and the Inferno Dragons. Yeah, no, I've done nothing. My fleet's exactly the same. I've got 3 of each, and I've got the Makara, and I'm leaving it like that. I've not built any. I've used all my tokens on my PvP fleet, so yeah, no news is good news, I hope.
RB?
Well, so this was one thing that I wasn't sure on, was that I can't remember if I saw them say that they weren't going to change the raid targets at all. So I'm kind of a bit confused there, because, you know, normally we would have our normal progression of the targets changing every month. So I'm not sure if that's happening or not this time. So I'm a little bit confused there. But because they moved it back a week, I'm actually probably as prepared as I could ever possibly be. You know, I've got everything saved up. My fleet's pretty much ready. I do want to. I've made an effort to save as many tokens as I can, because I want to fit more missile defense systems as I earn them hopefully during the raid. So yeah, so it should be pretty successful, I hope.
So what are you guys going to do? You guys, is everybody going to build 2 Mana Core fleets? I mean, not everybody, because the community is still working on theirs, and I understand that. When we go to talk, we're a bit ahead of the community, and so I don't want us just. I really don't think that everybody has got the full fleets still. So they're going to even have another Mana Core raid, correct? I mean, after this one?
Yes, there's going to be one more after this one.
So,
What I build all depends on how many free tokens that they give, or how many tokens that we get through TLCs and raids and whatnot. I'm not going to spend any shipyard time building one, but if I get enough tokens to build another fleet, then I'll probably build the second fleet.
okay, yeah, that's what I'm wondering, because I'm enjoying this time myself. I'm fixing some stuff I wanted to go back through and doing that, but there will be a point before, you know, because there's 2 more raid cycles that I will either have to decide to build a second Mana Core fleet or not. So I guess I'm in the same boat with the tokens.
Haha, you said the same boat. Awesome.
Yeah.
I think Vlad's all hung up on land boats right now. He's not even talking about battle cards.
I know I've got both fleets now, so I really can't spend any more tokens apart from, refits.
What
If I was to build another, just with you all talking, it would be I would build the extra missile part of the fleet to make it a full missile fleet rather than a scattergun, because it seems to help a lot in other aspects of the game. Like I did the TLC with just the 3 missile parts of the mani core, and it worked really well. That's just me though.
No, that would make sense, I mean, because TLCs have not always been for both fleets. So one fleet is
and let's be honest, map targets that we end up seeing that result from the raids have not always been for both fleets either. Like the 103 for base parts is a great example. The Hydras do much better in it than what Buccaneers do.
I know I found that. So if we were talking the last raid, so I was using missiles, and while I could, use them okay, obviously not obviously, but the 106 was the best for the missiles, and the 104 was better for scatterguns. So I didn't have that option last time, but this time I do. So just by changing the Makara out, I can use both fleets now.
Let me ask you guys this too. As far as prizes in the upcoming raid, I mean, we know we're going to see the I think it's a new Conqueror Hull. It's weapon, it's special in the raid because they're trying to crank all that PvP stuff out to us as fast as possible. But what other prizes would you like to see in there? Like, I know I for one would love to see tokens for epic countermeasures. How they've been giving us these 7-day build tokens for turrets and stuff. I would love to see ones for epic countermeasures.
Yeah. Oh. So much so, that's the needed one in the game for me. I'm to a point where I have all of them out there, but when do you know when you can take them away or not? There's such a long build. It's just not worth the risk of taking one off and seeing, and then going, oh my God, I'll just wait another however week or whatever, crazy amount of time to put it back. So I'm hoping to see that also.
I'm hoping to see the Javelin turrets in there because I missed those from the bounty. So that's one of the ones that I'm really going to be looking for. But it'll be interesting to see how they're going to do it with locked stores and what they're going to do for, the left and right side and all that sort of stuff. So I'm very curious to see how that's all going to work this time.
Yeah, we know the one side will obviously be like, the Makara Manicore, the Manicore, and all the shit that goes with that. We know for sure that'll be one side.
Yeah.
And the other side will be the PvP stuff. But yeah, as far as the unlock stuff, because for people that already have all the Manicore stuff and don't engage in PvP at all, it would really suck for them to have to get all that PvP shit to get from Lockstore.
Oh yeah. But that's happened before.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. It's going to happen. No, I don't. Yeah. I'm not saying it's it, but possibilities there. Okay. Now,
what are some other things you guys would like to see in there?
Yeah, I'd like to see some of the attack mods.
Yep, that'd be good. Yep.
Field extinguishers. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'd like to see everything in there. Really, like anything that has been issued. And could have been won by now should be in there. It was meant to be a catch-up raid, as I assume it was called.
See, I think there's a lot of misunderstandings there. I don't think it's supposed to be so much a catch-up raid, as far as being able to catch up on tech. As much of it's a catch-up raid as we're getting a whole extra raid for this cycle, so you have a little bit more breathing room for building time. Right. Is what I think they mean by catch up.
Fair enough.
Well, the
the other thing I'd like to see in it would be just a point system. You get points, you get the prize. There's no tier, there's no left nor right, there's no locked. You know, just get your points, get your prize. That's it. That'd be so much better than.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that's it. Just, you know, get your point, get your prize. No tier, no lock, no nothing.
Yeah, because I remember a long time ago when we had like the whole you had to go up the tier, you had to go up the thing and claim prizes and whatnot in a particular order, and people absolutely hated it, and that's why we got rid of it for such a long time. And it was you got the points and you got the prize, you know, and then for some reason, in their infinite wisdom, they decided to go back up through the going up the tier system. I think that was a real change, because it locks out people from stuff that they could need. They can't necessarily get the 40 million points, but they need the shit that's in the lock store.
Yeah. And I'm certainly not interested in seeing shards, so we don't need limited. Just tokens.
Yeah, that's what Vlad's also, he's wishing that generic build tokens.
Yeah.
A lot of people are. They are nice, you know, but then again, you can't even hold very many.
This is more for returning players or players that have not played seriously but now started to play seriously, and they don't have either of the sides of the tech side, so they don't have to choose to pick the left or to pick the right, and that's wrong too. So in the system that I thought would be just, you know, price points, you can pick both of them rather than just one.
Yeah.
I will say, Shane did a good job of deciding to come back right now, because, you know, he's going to have that whole extra raid cycle to be able to try to catch up a little bit. So good timing on your part, bud.
Yeah, it kind of worked out. I actually came back in, last bounty?
Yeah, I think so.
I had my old subs, and I mean, that event, the Gluts, you know, they got me quite a bit of stuff I was missing in that one bounty right there. So, I mean, it was a good time to come in. I actually got a good little head start on trying to get the base coming up to order, and the TLCs for the current raid cycle fleet, being able to get some of them out. Just, I mean, you know, now within these last couple of weeks, I've got something to start the raid out with. And like I said, since it's extended a month, I'll have some time to, hopefully the Manticore's in there, or what's the flagship for the Manticore? Yeah, I mean, hopefully that's in there.
Yeah, I'm sure
maybe I can get started on that, you know.
You'll probably be lucky and not have to pay the 40 million points for it either. You might get it for like, you know, 20 million.
I should get it at a discounted price, since this was supposed to be the last raid of this cycle. I think they kind of pushed it, you know. I mean, maybe something was going wrong with the new skirmish ship, or they ain't figured it out yet, you know. And like we said, if it's not going to be right or something's messed up, why don't you just hold on it? And they did that, apparently, you know, because they extended this a month. So, I mean, hopefully they're being a little bit more cautious about when they're bringing stuff out, making sure things are right. And it, you know, just worked out for me because it extended this cycle enough for me to get into it. So I can at least have a fleet for the map targets that will be coming out. You know, these ones y'all been hitting here lately, you know.
Right.
Usually map targets. So at least I have something to, you know, keep me in the game.
Yeah. You'll be able to progress a bit more.
So here's another thing I want to talk about, and then we can go branch off into what anybody else wants to talk about. But there was a thread, and RB, I'm going to let you kind of like lead into it, but I'll give the basic outlines. There was a thread on the forums talking about autoing and people losing their fleets and using the BP app. And RB, you read it. You went through and read the whole thing earlier, so you're probably a little more know what was going on more than I do. I was mainly only paying attention to the interactions between Laredo and myself. So do you want to kind of outline for everybody what was going on in that thread?
Yeah, I think I paid attention enough to it. So I guess the OP was about coins not being given back for losing your fleet if you were autoing using the BP app. Does that sound about right?
That sounds about right.
About it? Yeah, yeah. And then so it degenerated from there to, you know, a few opinions and that sort of thing, and a lot of clarifications that you know, CS weren't giving coins back now if you take, you know, a whole lot of damage when you're autoing. But then the whole point of the app was that now you can auto. You know, that's what they're saying. And then the semantics came out to, well, you know, we didn't ever say that you could auto and not get excessive damage, and that's sort of where it was from there. So
I mean, and you guys, if you have a differing opinion than mine, feel free to jump in at any time. Or if you want to corroborate what I'm saying, feel free to jump in at any time. But you know, if you basically, we'll use the term sell, even though it's not technically sell. But if you sell me an auto fleet, it should be able to go in and auto the targets on the BP app, which you also sold me as something to use to auto targets, and have a somewhat consistent amount of damage. I'm not saying it should be within like 30 seconds or a minute or 2 minutes of one another all the time, but I should never run into a scenario where I go in and I hit a target one time and take 5 minutes damage, and I go in and hit the exact same target on the app, which is autoing it. So you can't even blame it on lag or funky network connections or mobile connections, because you know, once you're in the battle, all that autoing takes place on the kick servers and the battle servers over there. So you can't blame my connection or anything at that point. So and I should never go in that same target and end up coming out with a dead fleet. Does anybody agree or disagree with that?
I agree. I'm an app user. I'm going to be moving forward if it works in my favor. I mean, with the way the game's set up now, with the chores, the daily tasks, you know, I'm a go-to app player quite often. I mean, even when I'm home, because I like to auto. I don't like to do the daily tasks. And many times, my fleet is almost, dead, you know, and I'm used to hitting these things. I know what kind of damage to take. And then, wow, you'll get a one out of nowhere that's just huge. And so I stop it, and then I have to repair it for a while. So I stop using it because it's not correct. Well, so I'd like it at least consistent to what was, you know, if I'm autoing in the game too, I should be getting the same numbers too.
Yeah, I mean, if you're promoting a fleet as an auto fleet, and you're promoting an app as this app will allow you to auto targets, there shouldn't be a huge disparity every now and then of, oh, suddenly instead of 5 minutes late, I now have 9 hours worth of damage. That should never, ever happen. And if that is happening, you should own up and take responsibility for it, and you should look at it and see what's going on and fix your product.
The fix to me is just, who cares? I mean, in my opinion, I don't know why why it's an issue for them. Because I can deal with problems when they just go, okay, well, here, you lost what, 29 coins, here you go, here's 40. Sorry for having to write all that. What? Okay, because you know what? It's just a digital thing on my screen. It's not real money. They didn't just throw money at me. So just make the community happy. Go away. Here's your 30 coin, whatever, and just and keep it going until it's fixed. You know, that's all. And that's all you have to do on a lot of these problems, and then they don't do. I don't know why. I mean,
it was definitely a very interesting. It was an interesting thread. Anybody who's watching this, if you have a chance, I would recommend going and checking it out. It's pretty comical in some aspects of it. I know I was listening to RB as he was reading it, and he'd start laughing really good every now and then. So my favorite is, like, you know, in Laredo, bless his heart, trying to toe the kicks line. trying to argue for him, which when it became a moderator's job to argue with the player base as opposed to just moderating the forums and posting announcements, I'm not sure. I mean, if I recall, Specs thought that was part of his job too, and well, we haven't seen Specs on the forums for a long time now. So yeah, I always like though when they start throwing out the TOS, because that's when you know that they have really no good responses. They're like, well, the TOS says. Because I actually let me. I want to adjust my screen here because I want to screen share this part of the TOS because I think it's hilarious. Let me see.
So they did say part of the reason was that players were deliberately sending their fleets into targets that they knew they couldn't hit and then claiming the coins back. So, but surely they've got the records to show that. So,
yeah, he put that in after all his technical arguments weren't getting him really anywhere, and so then he totally changed his tactic.
Yeah.
But yeah, so here's Article 10 of the TOS. Like normally I hate reading shit, but I'm gonna read this because I think it's funny. It says, our warranties and disclaimers, services provided as an as-is and as-available basis. From time to time, the service will have bugs, errors, and interruptions. These bugs, errors, and interruptions may adversely impact your gameplay, the perceived value of your used and unused virtual items, and be super frustrating. KIXEYE only provides services on a strictly an as-is and as-available basis to the maximum extent permitted by applicable law. KIXEYE expressly disclaims any and all warranties, express, implied, or statutory regarding the service, including but not limited to the implied warranties of title, quiet enjoyment, non-infringement, merchantability, and fitness for a particular purpose. Without limiting the foregoing, KIXEYE does not represent or warrant that the service or its use will A, be uninterrupted, timely, or secure, B, will be free of bugs, inaccuracies, or errors, C, will meet your requirements, and D, will operate in the configuration or with the hardware or software you use, or E, will be accurate or reliable.
But we will happily take your money.
Just wow. Like, seriously, dude, could you imagine me trying to sell somebody a car and put this in part of the car selling? They have laws designed specifically for shit like this. It's called lemon laws. Look it up. And I just had such a such a hilarious I don't know. That's that just cracked me up when he started doing that. I was like, oh my God, really?
Yeah.
I'm like, this is your defense for what you're talking about. And
I guess on the flip side of that, Templar could actually come up with a decent answer, and it's. I can see both sides of this because I can see that people would take advantage of it because, like everything else in this game, if you can take advantage of it, people do. So I can see that side of it, but at the same time, it's like, well, we all saw, if you go back a way to the Bucky and Hydra raid, I didn't use Bucks because all of a sudden in those targets, bang, your fleet was dead. So I deliberately stayed away from that. And, I suffered because of it, because I was then behind because I used Hydras and stuff. But that was my choice, and I was fine with that. But then the difference is now that you're saying, here, use this app because you can do everything on it and you'll have a reasonable gameplay. So we know you're not going to do PvP on it because you can't. But you should be getting the same sort of results as you would in normally using the game and using the computer. So if your fleet can auto a target, and the whole point of these fleets was that you can auto it, you should be getting reasonably consistent damage. you know, there's little errors and stuff, that's fine, but it should be reasonably the same. But if you lose your whole fleet, you know, there should be some compensation for that.
Yeah, and I mean, and I know they have the ability to go in and look at your battle log, even for PvE stuff, and see what fleet you used against what target. So saying that people were using like their level 6 fleet and going in a target and dying and then getting coins for that, well, you know, that's on CS's fault for not doing their due diligence to find out exactly what happened and just throwing money out there.
Definitely.
But I mean, to say that Kix isn't responsible, yes, Kix is responsible for that because they're the one that programs targets and they're the ones that control how the target behaves. So if there's something going wonky in there, they need to look at it and fix it.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a pretty simple thing in my opinion, but somebody just wanted to argue and be an asshat about it. So I showed them what being an asshat was all about. I know Hook there in chat saying she's trying to keep her thoughts to herself, but it's hard. Well, don't keep your thoughts to yourself. Say what you got to say.
Yep.
That's what it's all about. That's why these things are called No Quarter, man. We say what we think, and we don't give a shit what anybody else thinks.
Anyone else got some thoughts on it?
Toxic, you're unusually quiet. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I've argued that point about autoing a few times, and always things were said, but yeah, I don't. Whatever happens, happens. If you auto on the app, and your fleet takes 20 minutes damage, and you can do 10 targets before you're dead, and then you do one target and you're dead, well, something wasn't right, and it can't be your fault because you're on the app. So in my eyes, it should be Kix that should own up to saying, yep, there is a little error in there, and that can sometimes happen. And I mean, how much does it cost to repair a fleet? 40 coins at the most, 45 maybe. So just cough it up. It's not like they're having to buy you a new car and whatnot. It's 45 coins. It doesn't cost them anything. It's 45 pixels, like Ross said earlier. You know, it's not such big a deal. I don't have to give you 500 coins like they do sometimes. You know.
And I would just like to point out to Vlad and Chad and RB as well, you guys ain't seen me be an asshat. I can show you one day if you would like.
I don't know. I think I've got a pretty good feeling about it by now.
No, I don't think you've ever seen me actually go off. Toxic might have once or twice because I'm like, I was a little longer than the rest of you. But yeah, I'm pretty sure neither one of you guys has ever seen me really go off. Well, I don't know. Vlad might have when I was dealing with Bryce over on Battle Vortex. So yeah, Vlad might have.
He's gone full asshat.
But I don't know. So what else do you guys want to talk about? I mean, we kind of hit my talking points that I wanted to go on about.
I just got hit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they donated medals. Thank you.
Give us a playback.
It was a boring one.
So
it was just a missile fleet.
give us a playback, Ross. We want to see.
I'm all right, because then I get hurt. I get heckled. Here. Yeah, I'll get heckled.
Here, I'll do a playback of my base getting flattened by some asshat last night. I don't care.
I know Shane and I were talking about the price point of things in the FM. So go, Shane.
Well, my only issue is that, I mean, I really do appreciate what they did on the FM here with putting those prizes in there. But I can't really say that I agree with the prices of like the Vulture missile and the blunderbuss. And I mean, I know everybody goes, well, they didn't have to put them in there at all. But I mean, what I was thinking about it is, I mean, those are the less functional weapons, the Vulture and the blunderbuss. And I thought that they were around the longest. So I mean, anybody who has the full fleets that can hit the top target probably doesn't need those. It's probably the people who are struggling through the 111s to be able to try to catch up on those particular pieces of equipment. And I can't agree with that. It's a lot to ask for them people to hit 20 targets per item in the FM. You know, I mean, if you have the price on them, that's still been 10 targets price a target or an item there, and I'd find that a lot more acceptable. It's just a hell of a grind. I mean, the High Guard Warden, I can understand the price value on that. The MC Plate 3, because it's the brand new item, hadn't even been offered nowhere else, and they give us a 2.5 million on that. But those older prices are out there, and they cost you 3 million for each one of those. If that right there was a little bit, if it was cut in half, that would have been a lot more reasonable for me. But other than that, I really appreciate what they did do for the people in the FM.
Let me ask you this: if they had spread them out a little bit more instead of plopping them all in there at the same time and saying, "Okay, now you got a week to get them," would you have been better?
If they were in there from now on, I might have a little more different opinion on it. But it's because it's this week only. I guess that's also feeding into my, feeling like they're just asking too much for those individual pieces. Yes. Now, if they were in there from now on, I might not have as big a gripe at 3 million a pop. I can get one this week and get one, after the raid or whatever. I don't know what they're giving in the raid neither. So, but I'm definitely getting the High Guard Warden while it's in there. I mean, I feel it's worth it. But the other ones, I'm kind of taking your advice. I'm only going to get what I can of them.
Right.
But I'm definitely getting the High Guard Warden, and my next priority is the MC Plate. Then I'll worry about the Vulture missiles, and if I can get any of that stuff this time around.
As we can all see, Ross is paying great attention to the show. He's like typing in sector chat right now. So.
No, I am. What do you mean? Hey, it's because
so I'm sharing my base hit that happened last night. Definitely things didn't go as well on my part as I was hoping, but it was fun to watch to see how the EMP blast worked.
What's up, fellers?
Hey, that.
I'm going to rewind a little bit while DNR loads up his base hit.
Yeah, it's going.
Oh, well, I'm going to talk over the top of it then. The whole thing with the fleets doing different, having different results on auto, it's not just a problem with the mobile app, because I don't auto with the mobile app. I have the problem at home with that. And I have 3 identical fleets of icebreakers with which I auto 111s. And every once in a while, I'll get an icebreaker fleet that, instead of taking the normal 30-ish minutes of damage from the mines, just gets slaughtered in a target. And of course, you never know when it's going to happen, so you're not watching to see what happened, because I got 3 fleets running. I'm trying to find the next 111 to hit. So the problem is not unique to the mobile app, and if they're saying that people are taking fleets into the wrong targets, that's just an excuse because they don't want to give away coin.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think the big difference on the mobile app, though, is like, at least if you're playing on your computer, you have the option to drive if you auto, that you made that choice to auto. But on the app, you don't have a choice. You have to auto on the app. You can't drive.
No, I agree, and they should be even more responsive to people who are having the problem while playing with the mobile app. But it is not exclusive to the mobile app, and it has nothing to do with taking the wrong fleet to the wrong target. I mean, because like I said, I'll be running 3 of them at once, and all of a sudden one of them will be out of sync with the other 2 as far as the amount of damage they have. And some rogue target try to run over my fleet.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I said, I certainly found it in that raid that you know, I just won't accept that I will lose a fleet just because, and it's not right, and it's been going on for quite a while. So it's, but the difference is, yeah, that they're blaming all sorts of things. And I liked the connectivity one. That was awesome. It's how you can say that my internet's affecting that is just, that's ludicrous.
Yeah, well, and I like my response to that. I'm like, once it's on the battle server, it doesn't matter. Like lag and all that shit has nothing to do with anything when you're autoing. And if you don't believe me, well, guess what? Turn off. Like go out of the map, hit a target. As soon as it lights up, shut your computer off. That way, you know there is absolutely no network traffic between you and the battle server whatsoever. And guess what? When you log back on, you got what you were supposed to get from the target. So, you know, obviously, I don't have to have any input from my side for that battle to take place. So to try to blame it on lag and shit when I'm autoing is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life.
Well, it's pretty obvious that the people they have answering these, some of the people answering the customer service tickets are not only are they not Battle Pirates players, they're not gamers, period.
Well, no. That wasn't the CS that said that. That was Laredo.
Well, Laredo occasionally will shove his head so far up his ass it's in danger of strangling him. Sometimes he's got good information. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes he's got good information. But, you know, I got a coin that's right half the time, too.
He should be a weatherman. That's what I think.
Yeah, I would like the CS thing taken a look at in a way. I would like, you know, if the customer support people can't take care of it, then I don't think it should be in the game. I mean, and I know it's just a gripe and it's a little thing, but I get all the time that you can't adjust the medals for any game error. And, well, that's nonsense because they can for certain players at certain times or certain customer supports. And then you'll get, if you're my customer support, that's not possible because they don't have that ability. Well, if I show them their reply, that's also breaking a TOS from somebody else. So you can't really do that. But I would like to see at least the same customer support across the board. I understand that not the coin value that you give out to customers, whatever. I'm not saying that. But look, if you can fix the medals on somebody's base, then you better be able to fix them all on everyone's base. You know, if you give coins for a fleet taking an 8-hour tour, then you need to give coins to every person that has a fleet on an 8-hour tour. That's just it.
Yeah, well, we've talked about that a long time. It's just there is no consistency in customer support whatsoever.
Oh, I think there's more consistency than we give them credit for. The consistency is they look at the amount of coins that you've spent over the past month, and then they decide what they're going to do for you. We're just looking for consistency to make logical sense. It doesn't. If you're a whale, you get taken care of. If you're not a whale, you get screwed.
And that's not consistency.
Oh, no, it is consistent. It's just not the correct consistency.
It's consistently messed up.
Yeah, it's screwed up. But
I'd be willing to bet my farm that Vlad thinks Sasquatch murdered JFK.
No, actually, in this particular case, there was a point in time in this game where I was a $300 a month player. And when I was a $300 a month player, it didn't matter what I asked for in a ticket. I got everything I asked for plus a little bit extra. Now that I'm a $10 a month player, guess what I get when I put in a ticket? Sorry about your luck.
Here's this masked form letter or masked letter. Here you go. No, I know. I see it. I mean,
yeah. Well, that's the thing. I think we've all seen the difference in the responses that you'll get.
But I do get the coin return thing, and that totally actually has a business point. That makes sense. I mean, we've got a couple player. I have an A player in Crow that he does enjoy posting what he gets out of replies, and on our, well, it's comical because he gets huge returns and answers to questions that they're actually just, it's shut up money. Here you go, be happy and play. And I understand that, but when the same other person will put in a ticket, it's so shockingly on the reply that it is the spending. It's the spending.
But see, a lot of times it's not the spending; it's who you get when you put it.
Yes,
Like,
that's true.
I give you a great example when Shane was still playing pretty heavy. Him and I put in almost word for word the exact same ticket about an issue that popped up. He got like fucking butt tons of coins and like 10K bounty and all kinds of craziness, and I got like 100 coins. And like you got what, like 500 or 400 or 750 or
750. Yeah.
Yeah, and we were spending about, at that time we were spending probably the exact same amount of money per month.
Yeah, I'd already stopped spending at that point.
Well, no, yeah, I agree. I would like at least, because these issues are the same issues. They are pretty much, they are the same issues over and over. They could have a chart, it's just like this issue pays this, honestly. If you send in a ticket saying your fleet was 29 coins, then you should get 29 coins. I don't know.
No, that's right. It costs each player the same amount, whether it's time or money. The fleet repair still costs the same, so you should get that back.
Right.
It's pretty simple.
Oh, and board, just so you know, that wasn't Toxic Space that got flattened. That was my base that got flattened.
And that was Toxic?
That was Toxic that flattened it.
Yes.
What a bastard.
Yeah. that was the bad Toxic.
Yeah. It wasn't a gravy train walk, though.
No.
That EMP blast got you pretty good.
Yeah. No,
yeah.
it wasn't.
Oh yeah. I didn't even think of that. I never thought that you'd got that on already. But when I saw it go, it stopped and then the health went down. I said, "Oh no, I'm not gonna get past the channel." But for some reason, I did. So
yeah.
Yeah, I still don't like seeing fleets just drive past guards like that. It just it really triggers me every time.
Oh no! Anybody else have anything else they want to talk about?
What are we thinking about? We don't have an answer on the level lock on upcoming bounty type situations for map targets.
I haven't heard anything yet about whether you're going to be able to hit sub 80 your opponent bases if you're over 80 or not.
Right, and I watched that question be asked on the live announcement on Friday, and I was shocked to see that they didn't understand the question. They thought they were meaning the level lock on the bases, but I really do think that the question was for the map targets. It's going to be it really will be a change or a detriment, in my opinion, to bounty if there's a level lock on the 80, or it takes away the auto feature for bounty for me.
So I guess that leads to, because everything's going to be pushed back. What's that now? Another week again. So that gives them time to sort out what they're going to do. But we're assuming that they're still going to, is there still going to be bounties? How are they going to do it? What are they going to do this time? So, because it's changed every single time.
There will still be bounties because, one, there's still people willing to spend coin for bounty, and two, Kixeye loves to spite Vlad. Vlad hates him, so they're going to be here until I decide I want to play them. Once I've decided I want to play them, then it's like, shit, they're done. Stick a fork in it.
it's Vladgate.
It is. The entire game revolves around making me frustrated and angry.
I've built a company to upset Vlad.
It's Sasquatch on the grassy knoll shooting JFK. I'm telling you.
Do you guys all realize what I also did? And if you noticed it, I'm sorry, we don't notice now that I was mentioning the problem with the chat, switching. So I've been catching even during the show, people not understanding what chat they're talking to. And I just introduced the hooded claw fool, I might add, to the world chat and welcome Alpha World to the clown. It's just going crazy now. But I love it. I love this chat.
Yeah, it definitely has done an increase in activity in the game for sure.
I really think it has, in far as even base hitting. For sure.
And I'll be honest, it's great to see it come back to this topic because Vlad was so bitching about us talking about this when the show started. So fuck you, Vlad.
And I didn't mean to do that. I'm just watching chat because he's already.
It's awesome. Keep going.
Yeah, fuck both of you. Thanks a lot, jerk off.
Well, you did say you wanted to see him go asshat, so.
and yet again, there it is. Shocker. He proved he can do it.
It's too funny. It really reminds me of chat like 5 years ago when the game was active. I wish that I was getting alpha chat because I'm certainly not, and all I see is people just hanging shit on each other. But they talked about picking the low hanging fruit because one of these things with the chat in my mind was no one has, as far as I know, ever asked for this to happen. So to me it's just a way of encouraging spending, but that's my tinfoil theory, but it seems to be working.
Excuse me. Somebody else just subscribed to the Sasquatch theory.
Well, unbeknownst to you, I did say a few weeks ago that I'd borrowed your tinfoil suit, but it did need a good clean out before I put it on.
He said he had to wrap it a whole lot tighter on him too.
Sorry, Vlad.
That's all right. I got enough tinfoil to go around.
I know, right?
I even got enough tinfoil to go around at Damnation, but that's another story.
I would hope you do.
Saying how many we can fit into it. Sorry for talking over you.
Oh, that's fine. I just said I hope he would have enough tinfoil to go around me because he's bigger than I am. So.
Yeah. I wouldn't bet on that, but
I would.
It's been a long time since anybody accused me of being thin. So.
Anybody else got anything?
That's all right. It's all in good fun.
No, I mean the game for me, it's kind of it's at a good point for me to be slowing down right now because I'm not really thrilled with the game's performance. So them kicking everything back did do what it needed to do to make me happy.
Yeah.
The one thing I'm very, 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 very curious about, even though I don't much participate in it, which is fleet versus fleet
was 6
battles.
berries enough?
Not quite.
Not quite. It's the fleet sniping. They've mentioned it, and they didn't really get into it in that show. And that'd be an interesting point of what they're going to do about that. Like I said, I'm not into the fleet versus fleet, so I'm not.
Fleet sniping's been around for a long time, and generally speaking, the people who get sniped are people who deserve it anyways. Yes, there's the occasional jackass that just snipes for no reason. But generally speaking, you've either earned it or somebody else. I'm sorry, what?
Oh,
I just said hooded claw, that's all.
Oh. Generally speaking, either you or somebody in your alliance earned that snipe. I had a snipe problem with somebody that just didn't want anybody to do the raid, and they were going to enforce it by sniping. And that was one of those raids where the targets I was hitting was in my campaign tower. And lo and behold, the one thing I told Damnation would happen did, and you couldn't do the raid because somebody was sniping your campaign tower. But ultimately, my teammates picked me up. Somebody got out there with the right fleet and solved the problem.
But yeah, that fleet sniping's been around for a long time, and I mean, to be honest, this comms thing, it's kind of incited some more of that in our world that I'm in. Anyway, I've been watching comms the last few days, and yeah, there's just some asshats out there that just go around sinking fleets, and then going, "You hit me first," and then starting to do that game. So, I mean, to me, this new comms thing is like when the insectors come to town. It's that's what it's been like,
In another different previous broadcasting career, I could say that the drinking word should have been asshat.
That has got brandied about a bunch tonight.
Oh yeah.
The only thing I see that has really changed in the aspect of fleet sniping though is the introduction of the BP app. Because you're auto in, and like I don't use it a whole lot, so I don't know. Like I don't think you could come out of targets hot on the BP app. So I think that's the only thing that has changed.
Well, I'm just over a 7 million ID, so I'm about 9-10 months after the game had started. I started playing. The fleets we had there, with that fleet, you could do a cargo, you could hit a base. You could do fleet versus fleet. You could do everything with that fleet. Now, you've got a specialized base part fleet that is, 10, 15 hours to repair or 12 hours to repair, and it's got not a farther defense against any of these subs. Well, and it's a chore fleet. You need that fleet to do your chores. So when that fleet's down and the person doesn't coin it, then, well, there you go. He's off for 10 hours. That's the sort of sniping I'm talking about.
And there's the solution to the fleet sniping problem. The reason that people snipe fleets is because the repair times are ridiculous. If the repair time was 2 or 3 hours on these chore fleets, there'd be no real incentive to sniping because you wouldn't put a guy out of business overnight.
Yeah.
That's where that's where the big issue is. It's not stopping people from sniping. It's making the headache from getting sniped manageable instead of it just basically taking you out of that portion of the game till tomorrow. But,
well, that's the thing. I mean, it can be a lot more
going up, not down, so they don't care.
Yeah, it can be a lot more detrimental taking somebody's fleet out than hitting their base because your dock's back in 2 hours or 2.5 hours, whereas a fleet, well, it's a massive difference.
Even if you coin your dock, you're under a bubble for 36 hours. They can't make you coin it more than once unless you're dumb enough to pop.
Yeah.
That's when people bitch about getting hit during a raid. I'm like, hey, you just got a 36-hour free bubble, and you're coining anyways because it's the raid. And everybody coin, unless you're just somebody who simply refuses to coin at all. You got a couple coins to spend during the raid. Right. So you had to coin your dock for 5 coins. Nobody's going to bug you for the next day and a half. Shut up.
No, it's actually the best time to work when 5 coins. Then no concern. Pull no guard to whatever. Just do your thing.
I'm just waiting for Vlad to say, "Jane, you ignorant slut."
That gag was a lot funnier in my head than it was when it went on the air.
You reckon?
Oh,
the problem was there was only like 6 people in the audience who actually got the reference. I forgot the fact that most of the audience was way too young to know who Jane Curtin was.
I don't know if that's true though, because I find there's a lot older people that play BP than there is younger people.
Well, that's because the younger people can't afford it. But I still think they were young enough not to be. You got to be pretty much our age to get the Jane Curtin reference.
Yeah, but most people I know that I talk to that play the game are our age or older.
Yeah, which is why they're having trouble with the color of the chat.
Exactly.
It's true.
It is true. It is true.
They need to make it monochrome orange and black, just like the screens that we had when we first started using computers. It's okay. You old farts can admit that you had one of those that was either green or orange.
Oh yeah, and it was like the first on my block.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking back to the old chat where it was green and, you know, that really sort of digital font that, you know, you didn't have a choice. That's what you got, but it was still very, very seeable. So
between flickers.
Well, that's because it was like like 7 years ago and your eyes weren't shot.
That's probably true as well.
The problem is all the midget porn that we watch, and we're all starting to go blind now.
Now. Don't be using up my midget porn.
Anybody else have anything they want to do?
No, I would like to. I guess we on the page maybe through the week we figure out the best Manicore builds we can possibly come up with, and for the ahead of time.
I can share my build right now if you want.
Yeah, to be honest, I'd appreciate it.
I mean,
I think the community would. I mean,
I pull up my shit. You other guys should pull up your builds too, and you can
minimize
all down the map, do screen sharing. Because Lord knows Vlad needs help.
Yeah, Lord knows, and I'm not showing my build because Lord knows nobody else needs to try to build it. That, and I'm on my phone, so it's difficult to pull up.
Yeah, screen sharing on your phone doesn't work real well.
No, it's really small.
You know, people are able to do that.
Not the first time I've ever heard those words spoken.
You made me click the wrong button now, Vlad.
That went downhill quickly.
Okay, here you go.
Okay, so here's the way I have my flag set up. I have one of the Missile Defense System 3s, and I have 2 on there, and that's mainly to deal with turret missiles. And they seem to be extremely effective against the turret missiles. And then I just have the rest of it filled up with Panthera scatterguns. And then I have the combo armor for my armor slots. And then I have RA3 on this one. As we go down, look at some of the others, you'll see they have the new RA on them, but I just didn't have enough to do it across the fleet. And plus the tokens we got weren't for Makaras, so I opted to put it on the regular ones instead. But then I got countermeasure loaders to help reload. I have explosive systems. Since I'm using scattergun, that definitely helps splash and whatnot, projectile speed. Then I have the roaring barrel system. I have the assault battery, and then I have speed system 6. And then on this one, I have the Savage CIC. And then you can see there's 3 of my regular Manicores that have the Darkwing CIC on them because you get that stacking defensive buff. That once you have 3 is where you really see. You have to have all 3 to see the difference. But yeah, and this one I have countermeasure is a little bit different. I have a Phalanx 4 and Missile Defense System 1 on it, and then pretty much all the rest of it is the same. Except you can see on this one I did use the limited RA thing, the one that gives you the 81.7 and the 100 of each deflection types.
Right.
I think the rest of them are pretty much the same through just the variations on the counters. Mainly, this one has 3 Phalanx 4s. This one has 1 Phalanx 4, and then this one over here has 2 Phalanx 4s. So yeah, just make sure 3 of them have the Darkwing CIC, and then just go the rest of the way like that. And I'm not saying it's the greatest fleet out there by any stretch of the imagination, but it's a decent, solid fleet that'll get you where you want to go.
No, I would agree. That's the build I'm going after. So
now, if you're one of those people who got any of the limited armors during the last raid, you know, the ones that give you like 30% missile or whatever and have like no repair time, basically, you could opt to put, you know, like one or two of those on each one of your boats instead of all the dual ones. But I didn't bother getting them last raid, so this is what I'm doing. Anybody else have a build they want to share?
I know I posted mine up on the page the other day because there were people asking for the missile build. So my only real difference is that I'm using corrosive resistors for the engine instead of Speed System 6.
Yeah, and I think that all just comes down to personal choice. I like going fast.
I have a. I thought about putting the Hyper 30 in place on that hull. So I'm still throwing that up in the air. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, with the splash reduction and getting shot at by scatters, that could definitely help. Plus, it does give you that speed buff. Toxic, I'm locked on you right now. What do you got going?
Okay, well, this is my scattergun build. So it's nothing. It's just a vanilla build. I've got the 7 scatterguns, and I've got the missile defense system 3 on it. I've got all the green armors, all the corrosive and penetrative, and yeah, it's just a vanilla build. It does all right. It's not probably not the best, but it's not the worst either. It gets me through. And then I've got, there we go. No, that's not finished. That one. And that's my missile build. Again, it's a vanilla build. I put one of the new ones on, the new Predator missiles, and makes it go a bit faster. But I've got the dark wing on, so it doesn't really display unless I just use the missile ones. But I always have a couple of the corrosives in there, of the scattergun versions. And with this fleet, I can sort of drive in and hurt whatever I'm shooting at with the missiles, and then by the time the scattergun comes in, it just pops the target away in the first shot. I don't need to sort of stay in range for too long, and that's what I like about it. It worked when I accidentally did it, and I by mistake I've built 3 scatterguns and one missile, and it worked, and then I just kept with it. So.
Very good.
Can I ask why you put the carbon fiber casing on the scatter fleet?
Yeah, the carbon fiber.
It does do.
But that's penetrating damage, not corrosive damage.
Right, but that scattergun's dual damage type.
Yeah, it's got penetrative damage on the. I can't. If I move it's the very first one after the multi-shot.
Okay, I might have to have a look at that.
And then my lead is also missile, and yeah, that's got the 2 of the new armors on it, but I don't think it made any difference.
I mean, I will say what I think the biggest tweak that if you haven't done it yet that you can do to your fleet for this raid is get some missile defense systems and put on there, because I saw a big difference once I did that.
Yeah, for sure.
Between that and the 3 Darkwing CICs, I saw a huge amount of difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've got on a couple. Like I said, there's this one's got it, that one's got it, and this one has it. So there's another couple of them in the background. One's being built and or a little bit refitted. So yeah.
I just threw something together while we were chatting, because I was just talking about the Hyper 30. And so I did just throw that on a hull to see, and I have it on my screen. And so this is mine now. I guess I'll be going. I'm going to try the Hyper 30 out. So I did the same, except for I'm already switched over to those armors. the 1 second repair armors. It's the D6M and the D6CO. I have one panel on each hull. Same specials across the board. I did just put the new reinforced reactive armor, but I put the Hyper 30 installation on it now, and it really looks like the speed is going to be pretty good. The movement went up to 66, so I think that's what I'll be going with.
And so, do you think the extra evade's going to help with that?
I don't know, but I think the extra splash reduction here, the 30% splash damage reduction, since I'm an autoing guy, I pick up a lot of damage just from that splash.
Well, and like the evade should help too, because there's a lot of missiles in there, so the evade should definitely help as well.
But what splash?
From scattergun
The
splash.
scatter guns.
Okay.
That's primarily what hurts my ship the most. Is
Yeah,
those
okay.
side attacks on the scattergun moving fleet and not from the rear.
Yep. Okay. Yep.
Now, see, that's something that you probably don't have to worry about, RB.
No, I was going to say.
You're doing the missile version, so they never get close enough to scattergun you.
Yeah. No.
Well, I thought you were going to say that because he's always going for the rear.
Oh my God! It
Boom,
doesn't matter how deep you try to keep it. It always defaults to that, man. I need to hire a human resources department.
Yeah, well, it's good because I know I sounded really vague then, and I'm like, well, hang on a sec. But yeah, because I'm using the missile fleet, I don't have that issue. So yeah, no, it makes good sense.
Hey Shane, why don't you show us what you got going on yours? Because I know a lot of people who don't maybe have all the latest and greatest stuff might be interested in seeing what you came up with.
Alrighty, let's see here. What I got going on is the was that 6 of the Panther scatter guns. Only thing I got right now is from the mission was these Missiles Defense System 1. I went ahead and went with those because I figured I would swap it out later when I got the number 3. Instead of doing phalanxes, I just figured I'd stay in line with this new missile defense thing. Well, I guess I did put a phalanx on it. It's got a phalanx 4 as well. This projectile speed explosive system for projectile speed and splash because it's scatter. More reload plus range on the countermeasures with the countermeasure loader 4. I did get this special, and it's the new one for the scatter guns and the corrosive damage, bonus combat speed, and then I had to use the old reactive armor is what I'm going with. The assault battery MK com. I guess it does the extra 25% damage, corrosive and penetrating, which I don't have penetrating. So, and the speed system 6.
Yep.
The only CIC I've got is this Savage CIC, so I'm going to need, I figure I need to get the Darkwing. Those are individually bought too, ain't they? Or you buy one and I can put on the rest?
That's a buy one. You can build as many as you want.
Okay, so I guess I need to get that, and then I can hopefully do a refit to get them on there, and then see how much stronger it makes these guys together.
But one thing you do have penetrating, it's a 2nd damage type on the scattergun.
Right. I was going to say.
Okay, so this is 2 damage type.
Right.
Okay, so all that works in concert together then.
Yeah, that's good.
Like I said, though, I still got to apply the armors. For the raid, I'll be able to have 2 armors on each of the 3 ships. I just started one of them. It was like 2 days and 9 hours to apply the armor, so I just got to wait the 9.5 hours here. Then I can put the next one in. And apparently I got 2 more times I can run that campaign, so I'm going to get a couple more tokens other than what I thought.
Nice.
because I guess you can run this campaign 3 times.
Oh, there you go. Then.
Mastery. So I guess I will get to finish ranking out that the third hull there that I've got in the shop right now. And I should have enough slots to hold the rest of the tokens for these last 2 runs through here.
There you go.
So
Cool.
a little better off than I thought it was. So
That's always good when that happens.
yeah.
It would be good if I could read your chat, though.
Oh, well, you're in the same world. Up on there and check them out.
I was being
I
a
mean,
smart ass.
To be honest, I
You
leave
can
it
really
up.
see the blue doesn't stand out there. It's
It don't pop very well, and it pops
it's
if somebody
pretty-
talks
pretty
from my
clear.
sector because it pops up yellow and it's just ding.
Yeah.
You know,
Next thing we got to do after the raid is now that you're back, get you a decent base design going again.
yeah, I need to take my gravestone off. I mean, this is my gravestone layout. This is my tombstone. So
They'll just have to make a little urn out of walls somewhere. You got cremated.
yeah.
No, it's a cave with a boulder that rolls out because you
All right.
resurrected.
All right. Anybody got anything else?
That's it for me.
I'm hearing crickets, so I'm guessing we're done.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, thanks for showing up, everybody. Definitely appreciate you guys in chat. You always bring up some good stuff for us to talk about, and we try to interact with you as much as we can. So everybody, give us a thumbs up, give us a like, give us a subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Share it with friends. Add them to the page. We're still getting lots of people joining the page. I'm liking it. So until Thursday, we'll talk to you then. Bye.
Good night, everybody.
See ya.
All right.